The arrest of Senator Rochas Okorocha by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has been dominating headlines since the news broke yesterday. In a statement signed by its spokesperson, Wilson Uwujaren, yesterday, the EFCC says its operatives invaded the Abuja residence of Rochas Okorocha, a former governor of Imo State, because he jumped bail and refused to accept court processes from the commission. The EFCC officers whisked the embattled former governor away at exactly 6:48 p.m. in their vehicle after breaking into his living room. Joining us on the show to discuss this latest development is a spokesperson for Rochas Okorocha campaign organization, Prince Ebuola Martins, and Uloma Nwosu, daughter of Rochas Okorocha. Good morning and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. And thank you for having me here.
Yes.
Good morning, Uloma Okorocha, if you are with us. Good to have you with us on the morning show. Let's start with you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Were you in the house when all of that incident yesterday happened? What exactly happened, if you were an eyewitness to that incident? Was anybody injured, or this was just a case of the EFCC officials trying to effect an arrest?
Well, good morning, Dr. Ruben. Good morning, Rufai, and good morning, Oji. Yes, I was at the residence yesterday when this event occurred. So early on that morning, at about 9:30, almost 10, His Excellency was getting ready for the supposed screening, the APC screening that was supposed to hold on that day. And of course, I was supposed to accompany him, so I was at the family home at that time. And then shortly after, we heard lots of noise coming from outside, where we saw a group of men in mufti, and of course a white bus that had blocked the gate. And of course our security man was on the floor, had been pushed down forcefully. So once they came in, we had asked what the problem was, who they were, because there was nowhere to identify them. And they said that they were from the EFCC and that they had come to invite His Excellency to the EFCC quarters. We, of course, further on asked if they had any letter of invitation, any warrant of arrest, any search warrant, any document at all to show why they were here. And they said that no, they didn't have anything of that sort, that it was just an invitation and that they promised it wasn't going to take too long. And of course, looking at that scenario, coming with a lot of these men, the way that they forcefully came into the compound, we then called for our lawyer, the Leonard Sil Olanipekun, to come to the residence. As soon as he got there, he reached out to them, asking them why they have come to His Excellency's residence and what the problem was. They repeated the same thing, that it wasn't a problem, that they had just come to invite His Excellency, that some of the top operatives of the EFCC just wanted to have a talk with His Excellency. And then he asked that had they initially called His Excellency, they said no. He further on asked if they had any search warrant, any paper, they said no. Then His Excellency, he came back, and of course I was in the living room at the point with His Excellency when the Leonard Sil informed His Excellency that this was the situation. So His Excellency said, okay, I don't have a problem with that. However, I am preparing for a screening today. Can they let me go for this screening? As soon as I come back, I will honor their invitation. And of course they refused and in fact told the SAN that they had been instructed to bring him at all costs to the headquarters. And looking at the whole scenario, it became questionable. Further on, they gave an ultimatum of 1 hour, 30 minutes, that if His Excellency did not voluntarily come into their vehicle to leave, that they were going to forcefully come into the house. And of course, at this point, we thought it was remotely impossible to do that because in a civil society, for you to barge into any residence, you must have a search warrant or any document. And at this time, note that we had a lot of media representatives who were there, ranging from Arise News, AIT channels, and they did ask them at that point for any documentation, and they said they didn't have any. Just to tidy up the story anyway, the next thing we saw, they shot tear gas canisters at people who were there. They started shooting sporadically at the house. In fact, my younger brother, Amen, who was there, they had beaten him up. The video, it's caught on tape. And the next thing, they broke through the bulletproof door with big chunk of woods. I don't know where they got that from. And then came in through the roof to pick up His Excellency.
Well, you know, in the videos that have been circulating online, you know, your father appeared nervous. Everyone is asking, why was he resisting arrest if the EFCC had identified themselves? I mean, he was even singing praise and worship song. Was he unsure of the people that invaded his home at that very moment? I believe that you were one of the people that even took that video where the EFCC were caught on camera coming through the ceiling. The question is, why was he resisting arrest at the time?
To be honest, I wouldn't call that resisting arrest. However, the way they had presented themselves did not show that it was something that was official, because remember, there was no legal documents supporting their action. So you could term that as an illegal battery or whatever we may call it. But at this point, I was there, and quite frankly, I was also scared as well, because it didn't look official. It didn't look like something that was done right. So of course we were afraid for His Excellency's life, and that's why he said something that was simple. Give us a document. Give us a paper, a court order. Remember the antecedents of the EFCC. When His Excellency declared for president on the January 30th, to be precise, you know, that was the same day they had come up with this 17-count charge, which we all found out through the media, just as everybody else found out. And 2 days ago, on Sunday to be precise, His Excellency had a meeting with the Southeast presidential aspirants of the APC, seemed to come together, I guess, to build one voice. And 2 days later, just before the screening, they are coming with no supporting document allowing them in the premises of His Excellency's residence, and just to pick him up. So, of course, it seemed very dodgy. It seemed worrisome. And, of course, nobody would want to respond to that.
Okay, two things. Maybe both of you can have a stab at this. Did he jump administrative bail like the EFCC said?
Well, let me just tell you, my brother.
Okay.
At times, I wonder.
After Uloma, you answer this after he answers. Yeah.
Because there is no issue of jumping bail. Right in my hand here, this is a court order. The High Court from Port Harcourt, stopping the EFCC from harassing Rochas Okorocha or even invading his house. This same EFCC you are talking about refuses to obey this order. In fact, the court slammed them with 500 million naira that they have not paid, and they did not even go to court to say, okay, can you quash this order? The same EFCC who refused to obey this order, you can see it, I'm handing over to you people to see. And I'll put it on my Facebook page today for everybody to see. The same EFCC who refuses to obey this order is telling Nigerians that the Rochas Okorocha, he's jumping bail. Which bail? The day he declared for his presidential ambition, the same day, a few hours after, they slammed charges on him. They didn't serve him. We all hear from, in fact, we all hear from social media. They know his house. They know his office in the Senate. They can access him at any time. They never told him anything. It came as a shock to everybody. Now, few days ago, he had a meeting at his residence with other Southeastern presidential aspirants. Now, 2 days after, he's meant to go for screening. Yesterday, APC presidential screening. The same EFCC came to his house. For God's sake, are we Zoo Republic? The same EFCC came to his house on that same day just to make sure that he does not attend the screening.
So he didn't jump administrative bail?
No, not at all.
Okay. Uloma, did your father jump administrative bail of the EFCC?
So, Rufai, there are very key indicators to show that somebody has, legally speaking, jumped administrative bail. One, He traveled. He's nowhere to be found. They've tried reaching him. And of course, remember that he did have sureties, right? And these are senators of the Federal Republic as well. There's not been any case of inviting these sureties to say, look, for some reason, we can't find His Excellency. He's traveled. He's eloped somewhere. They didn't invite them. Also remember that the EFCC is still in custody of his international passport. That hasn't been given to him. His Excellency had been seen. He is running for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He's been attending conferences, he's been attending events, he's been going to his offices, both the Senate office and, of course, the Unity House office here in Abuja. In fact, he's not been seen to travel as much throughout this period. So how is it that he's jumped bail, and what's their justification to that? That's something that I don't understand.
Okay, I like the way you keep referring to your dad as His Excellency. That's really nice. But quickly, I want to ask you, was there a search warrant? We need to establish that properly, because if there was a search warrant, then it would be a different scenario. And then if there was no search warrant, then it would mean that what the state agents did, will be illegal, will be wrong. And is your dad going to court?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Ruben, for that question.
His fundamental human rights.
Right. So I can tell you, categorically speaking, that there was no such warrant whatsoever. There were so many news correspondents at the location. I personally saw them ask these officials, do you have any document? Do you have any search warrant? Do you have anything at all allowing you to be in this premises or to invite him or whatever? They had nothing, and they clearly stated that. Secondly, there is a court judgment. They claimed, Dr. Ruben, there is a court case scheduled for the 30th of May. And then why the rush? Why can't you wait? There's a court judgment restraining you from harassing him. Why can't you wait up until Monday? So these are the issues that are all glaring in our faces. So I'm telling you, and I can categorically say to you that there was no search warrant. And we are in a society, like I said, where we could ask questions. Let's put EFCC to show proof. There's something called paper trails. There's something called evidence, proof that they handed him a letter or somebody a letter and there was a signature, or even if they tried, for some reason, His Excellency is so smart that he's able to evade the EFCC and how big they are. How about a substituted serving or something where you get the court to forcefully serve him or get a bailiff to serve him? Now, the narrative that we're hearing this morning is that they arrested him to invite him. I've never heard that before. So we're in a very civil world, and I think we should do things civilly. But I could tell you, to be honest, there was nothing of that sort. And it also interests you to know that the EFCC carted away with the CCTV cameras. We have pictures of that. Gunshots at vehicles, damages at the residence. Why go away with the camera, the CCTV camera, if what you're doing is legal? I know the fear. My mom's phone, Her Excellency's phone, was taken from her. She was pushed down. People were beating up. There are video proofs. This is just not mere talks. There are video proofs to support all of this. Why take away the CCTV camera if, in fact, what you're doing is legal and you have the documents to show? So this is also a clarion call, and I'm pleading with the media to please ask EFCC to provide these documents. We're here, Honorable Martins is there in your studio, showing you the court judgment. The Attorney General of the Federation had written to the EFCC on the 22nd of April, asking them to obey the court order. This is the letter right here in front of me. We have the court judgment restraining them. So yes, I was listening to one of your analysts this morning saying that nobody is above the law and His Excellency should have answered to this call. And that's the wrong narrative that's being pushed out there, because it's not true. But if I agree that His Excellency is not above the law, I am not above the law, but the EFCC is not above the law either. So if we're going to do things, I think it's only fair that we do things rightly so.
All right. Honorable Martins, I believe that you wanted to answer the question about the search warrant issue as well. But I wanted to find out, what has been your client's reaction since he's been arrested? Have you heard from your client? What is he saying at this point? And what is his fate now with his presidential campaign?
Well, I think the truth here is that if you can see the activities of EFCC, first, they push out charges against him when he declared. The first time he declared for the APC presidential ticket, the same few hours after it was, they went to the media and declared that. The day that he was meant to go for screening, they also came to his house and they tried to give excuses. But let me just explain this to Nigerians. They need to know. What are the charges that they're talking about? That is part of 2 point whatever billion scam. Let me tell you, EFCC, can they sincerely tell Nigerians how much Rochas Okorocha left in Imo? If they want to be very honest. Why will a man leave over 48 billion naira in the account of the state and just took 2 point what billion? Is the man a fool? How many state governors in this country left such amount of money after giving free education in the account of the states? So what I'm saying is this. If today EFCC will come on here and say that we link so amount of money to Rochas' account, wallah, I will resign as a spokesman. They know they don't have all these things. And that's why some of us are getting very angry. That, look, this is a country. The difference between military and democracy is that the agency of government obeys the law. Right now, the agencies of the government is not obeying the law, and they're accusing you of not obeying the law. And that's why I've just shown you now a court. They've not turned down this judgment. EFCC never challenged this judgment, but yet they went to his house without any warrant, without nothing. Just simply because somebody does not want him to attend the screening so that it won't be part of it. They are scared. Let me just tell you this. Okay. You know, in the course of this, we're going around talking with the national delegates. Every one of the aspirants, every one of these people are aware of how people are reaching out to one another. They're already aware that with the rate that is going, the only aspirant from the South, as it were now, that can reach out, that the North can trust and believe in and give the vote, they realize that it is Rochas Okorocha, His Excellency. So getting him off the way, they'll be able to have their way. Okay,
so you're saying it's political. Number two, so two things. Going forward, and I'll start to wrap up things this morning.
Yes.
Have you, sorted your legal counsel? I think I'll start with Ulama first, and I'll come to you on this. You said you called your lawyer, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, yesterday. What's his name? Wale Olanipekun.
Yes.
What is Chief Wale Olanipekun saying now? What is the legal step now as regards this? I'm sure EFCC have probably started interrogating him in their custody. Who is the lawyer sitting there with him to answer those questions? What is going on as regards that and the legal implications and taking that forward? Ulama, you go first, and afterwards, Mr. Ebiola Martins, you go.
Yes. Okay. Chief Olanipekun is currently on the matter. They're there at the EFCC, but remember, there was no history to this, so this came up from nowhere. So he's trying to make sense of why this even happened in the first place, what this is all about, because the said 17-count charge and 2.9 billion naira case is still in court, as it were. So everybody was naturally supposed to wait for the next court date. So he's still trying to make sense of it all. His thoughts are, he's never seen anything like this before. And right now, they're just in talks with the EFCC at the headquarters right now, trying to find out the next step forward. But His Excellency is a law-abiding citizen. He's asked all his supporters to remain calm and let the court or let justice take place. But I can tell you something, Rufai, speaking as a daughter from a personal standpoint, what happened yesterday is not something a daughter would want to see a father go through. It was horrendous. breaking through the ceiling. There was nothing legal about that. And so we're just hoping that for the first time, justice will take full course.
Uloma,
not to deviate, but remember.
Okay, Uloma, sorry. Oji asked earlier on, have you been able to reach him? As he called, as the EFCC called? What is going on over there? Is there any word?
We've not been able to reach him. We've not been able to speak to him at this point, as of now. And like I said, there wasn't a document, a legal document showing the reason why he was arrested. Remember, the narrative earlier on in the day was, it's just a mere invitation. After a few hours, he would go. And with that same tone, His Excellency said, okay, if that's the case, I have a screening to attend. Let me attend the screening, and of course, I will honor your invitation. Chief Olanipekun also gave them these appeal, saying, okay, you know what, if it's not a big deal, then allow His Excellency go through this process, and of course after that he'll come to you. And then a few hours later, around past 2:30, the whole story changed. So we can't even say that there's a conversation to be held because we don't know why they picked him up in that manner in the first place. Like I said, the 2.9 billion naira case and the 17-count charge is still in court, and there's a court hearing for the 30th. Remember that after the judgment in the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt, the EFCC didn't like the judgment and, of course, asked the judge to recuse himself or, change the judgment, and came Court of Competent Jurisdiction, came to Abuja, filed in the same Federal High Court in Abuja a new fresh case. So, it's all over the place and we don't know what's going on. But I could tell you Chief Wale, Olanipekun, and of course his brilliant team are on the matter now, and we just want them would allow them to do their due diligence.
Yes, well, I think the bottom line of all this issue is just make sure he doesn't attend the screening. That's just the whole thing. Make sure he doesn't attend the screening so that he won't be an aspirant. This is what, but I have a message for the president. This is very important. I want to remind the president that in 2015, I met with you in your Lubito Crescent. Myself, the former DGSSS, Malan Lawa Daura, and the late Senator Bukar. If you remember, Mr. President, you told me and every one of us in that meeting that I'm the first person who will be meeting you in that office. Now, my coming to that office was because Rochas Okorocha asked me to support you. And I did supported you. You gave me your word, but I supported you. I sold my hotel. My water factory, Aquavera Water, I sold it because at that time, nobody believed you could ever be president. So nobody wants to contribute to the campaign. We did sacrifice. Rochas sacrifice. Now today, even water I didn't get from your government. All those millions of people who I gave the structure to the campaign never benefited from this government. Rochas, who made sure that I did all these things, never benefited anything. The only thing we have benefited is this persecution. Well, Prince, I'm appealing.
Prince Martins.
Okay.
There's still more than enough time for you to get that bottle of water you have.
I don't even need it. That's not what I'm saying.
So you will still get it. The president will still be there for another 1 year. No, but let me ask you, why are you drawing this political connection between the Rochas Okorocha's case and the screening of presidential aspirants? The APC has over 20 presidential aspirants who will go for that screening. In some of the reports that I have read, I may be reading wrong reports, he's not even considered one of the major front runners. So what is the connection? He's not the only aspirant. He's just one out of 20-something.
Yes.
So why would the EFCC say we don't want him there?
But big brother, please, who is that person that bring about who is a front runner or not? The only way you can know a front runner is when the thing starts. And I can tell you, you and I know without even saying anything, that the only aspirant among all of them, the only one who has signature in every region in the country is Rochas Okorocha. And that's why I'm saying that today, the only aspirant that can get vote both from the south and in the north is Rochas Okorocha. Get him out of the way, then they can be able to put whosoever they want to put. This is the point. Otherwise, how can you justify the day he declared was the same day you slammed him court charges? Now, the day he's supposed to go for screening was the day you came to his house to come and arrest him. For God's sake, what is happening? We can think now, we are not daft. So what I'm saying is this: if you now see this situation, The court case is meant to come up 6 days from now. Why can't you wait? You can go to his office. You can reach him in different ways. And he also told you, in America, can this happen in the U.S.? The people were borrowing their democracy.
Well, we'll get your point, Prince Martin.
But please, just give me this permission for this.
Well, we're managing time.
Yes. The last election, a lot of issues happened about, the big man, himself, Atiku. When he was meant to go to America, everybody says, no, they are not going to allow him. But America granted him visa. Why? They knew that if they didn't grant him that visa, it will look as if they are interfering in the election. So they know what it is. So if an American government can see that, say, look, let us just stay clear of this. Why can't EFCC, who is a Nigerian agent, understand that they are interfering in the election by denying one of the aspirants who is likely to even take the ticket, the opportunity to go for a screening? Can't they come on Monday after the screening? Why do they wait all the way till the day of the screening? Please, it's questionable. Well,
Prince, the screening was not done yesterday. According to the APC timetable, it's still later this week. So hopefully, maybe Senator Okorocha will still be able to attend that screening. Let's see how it plays out.
You and I are here. You see, invite me back. I've just told you what the agenda is.
Okay. Right. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Prince Ebola Martins for joining us, and also Uloma Okorocha. Thank you very much indeed.